Wasn't sure. I'm drinking too, by the way. Hence the burps.
Nice.
All right, let's start this. Um, in five, four, three, two. Hey everybody, welcome back to another fresh episode of Speak Freely. I'm not doing it today. I'm not doing it today, Brian. I am, of course, Mr. Freely. It's with me always, Mr. Speak. I'm just kidding. I am David B. and is here always with my good friend Kuno Stars. Oh, Kuno Stars. Let's start again. Five. I'm just kidding. Leave it all in. I don't even care. How are you, my dude?
Uh, really feeling very stringy, I guess.
Dude, I'm mad hyped. Legit. I know it's like I've harped on this before, but I am legit so hyped for what we just witnessed. I don't think I have a sufficient enough vocabulary, a personal dictionary, if you will, to truly describe how amazing and awesome and hyped everything was. But real quick, before we get into our main topic, which is, if you can't tell by the title of this episode, it's most likely the Schmoedown. I want to talk baseball real quick with you because personal story. You kind of helped me get into it a little bit. Should we tell the people? Do you mind? I didn't
Uh,
compare with you, but do you mind?
well, actually, this is awkward because I don't want to talk about this.
No,
I wish you
I'm
had
not
told me
gonna.
before.
I'm not gonna get
And no, I'm just kidding.
personal.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna get personal. We're not gonna talk about anything. I mean, you can edit it. You're the editor. Just edit. That's what I hired you
All
for.
right, yeah. Oh,
That's why I pay you absolutely 0 cents for us to edit everything.
but you pay
No,
me in
but
friendship. That's okay.
yeah, what I pay you in love and handies. Anyways, that's a dirty joke. Wow, I really derailed this so quickly. I'm sorry, everybody. Let's just start over. Legit. Five, four. No, I don't care. I legit don't care. No, but for real. Um, Not to get too detailed because we kind of already did in May, whatever. But whatever. Um, Brian visited me finally. Oh God, was it like 3 years ago now? 2 years ago? Three? I want to say
I want
three.
to honestly about around 2017.
Yeah, it was like three. He was doing at the time, and he still is. It's just it's just on hold right now. He was doing a baseball stadium uh, trip where he's kind of slowly going through, visiting all the baseball stadiums here in America, and he was on his Texas leg of the tour, and he originally went to Dallas, and he was like, "Hey man, I want to go visit Minute Maid in Houston. Do you mind if I see you and we hang out?" And I was like, "Dude, of course, I love you, bro. Let's fucking."
Also, can I stay with you? So,
Yeah, and also, can I have a free room and rides? And I was like, "Yeah, okay." No, but legit, you came to visit. You did ask me, so of course, like you're my bro. Was like, I didn't hesitate. You're like, "Yeah, of course." And I was not to get into too deep into it. We were both going through some shit. Whatever, it is what it is, right? But I felt like we really bonded that weekend, and then because of that bond that we had in mutual agony, I guess you can say, it kind of really made me enjoy that baseball game. And I was like, oh wow, like it's hearing you talking about it and the passion behind it and how you were like describing the game to me. I was like, okay, I get it. I understand why people like this game. Because before, like, yeah, I went to some baseball games, but I didn't really care about baseball. Like, I just didn't. And then you visited, and then we went to go see the Astros. I think it was the Astros versus the Rangers in 2017.
Seattle,
Oh, was it the
the
Mariners?
Mariners. Yeah, I remember because I saw the Mariners play against the Rangers in
That's right.
Arlington,
Yeah,
and
that's
then I
right.
folled them to Houston
That's
on the
right.
back of their bus. And
That's right. You went underneath with all the luggage.
right, because I fit. And yeah, so we saw went to Minute Maid Park,
Hmm.
which was awesome. I mean, the whole point is to, I mean, one, to travel and then see these stadiums and kind of take in, the culture, the architecture, the designs that go into what make the stadiums their own unique entities, right? And also just a reason to kind of see the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Because prior to this idea of visiting ballparks, I've only been to like California and Nevada and California and Mexico, and but that's not right. But within the states, it's only been those California and Las Vegas essentially. So I said, no, I need to go and like kind of see other stadiums. Right now I have 10 out of 30 off my list, right? And this is started in I think 2015. So, you know, 10 in 5 years is not too bad.
no, not at all. And
Yeah,
it was such a great trip too. Like obviously we bonded over just being able to vent. Like we were both just going through a weird time. But then also like after we got that venting session out of the way, like we ate a lot, we drank a lot, we watched a movie that we both were like, what movie did we watch? Do you remember? I don't even remember. I just remember we watched a movie and we were both like, that was pretty good, but it was kind of forgettable at the same time. Do you remember what movie it was?
oh, not Annihilation. It was
It wasn't Annihilation. No.
oh, it was the one with Amy Adams.
Did we watch that?
We watched it at your place though. We didn't go to a movie theater.
I already forgot
What
what it was
is
called.
it called?
Wow.
By Denis Villeneuve, I think.
Yeah.
Arrival.
Arrival. There you go. Like
Yeah.
like I said, it was good, but for us, a little forgettable. Like we realized watching it, like, wow, that's really good. But it's not a movie that we were aching to revisit. But it was good. It just wasn't great. We're being honest, obviously,
I
because
mean,
at
there's a
least
lot of stuff.
yeah.
It
But
within the movie. There's a lot of stuff within the movie, but then there was also a lot of stuff without, around the movie that we were kind of dealing with. So
yeah,
take it for what it's worth.
yeah, and yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it happens. You know how your mindset is when you're not in like a good space at the time. It's the same thing that
Yeah.
happened with Dunkirk, which I explained in our Nolan episode. Which, if you haven't checked it out yet, audience, you definitely should. It's a great episode. But yeah, but literally, that's what started with the love of baseball for me, and ever since then, I've been an Astro shill through it all. Yes, through it all. I've mentioned this before, but we're gonna get a little bit into it today because baseball's back. It's been back now for like 2 solid weeks officially. The season has been 2 weeks already.
2 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Since the
So
end of July, so it's.
yeah,
Hmm.
so I just want to quickly get into it. We're not gonna get into too heavy details because this isn't. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'm like surface level fan of baseball, and I'll admit it. I still don't know all the terms, and I've been watching it now for 3 years. I'm still learning. I just recently learned what RBI officially means, and even then, I still don't quite get it. So there you go. Just a heads up. We're not claiming to be professionals. We just kind of want to talk a little bit of baseball. And the first thing I specifically want to talk to is about our series because Brian, tell the people who is your team.
For anyone who knows me, they should know that my team is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Has been since 1993. Get off my back, Dodgers fans.
That's right. Speaking of Dodgers fans, that's a perfect segue because I want to mention the big story about the Dodgers and the Astros two game series, which is of course fucking Joe Kelly, right? Now,
Right.
let me just preface it by saying this, okay? I'll admit this. It sucks that the Astros cheated and that it was proven. It sucks for me personally because that World Series meant a lot to me personally, and to have that little like asterisk in front of it,
Yeah. Okay. So it was 2017 when I visited because that was the year that they won the World
that's the year
Series,
they won.
which is like
Yep.
the perfect year for you to get into it.
And not only that, yeah, it's the perfect year because everything that happened, personal things happening aside, it's when Harvey hit us and the whole city was under 6 feet of water. So it was
Hmm.
kind of beautiful seeing the city like for this brief moment. Like there was no honking, there was no animosity. Everyone just kind of fucking rallied and rooted for our home baseball team. It was kind of a beautiful thing. And to kind of have that tarnish a little bit, it sucks. It legit sucks. That being said, I always say this at the end. We won the series at Dodger Stadium, so Dodgers need to shut the hell up. We beat you at your home. Okay, Game 7 was in LA, and we beat the snot out of you. Whether you like it or not, cheating aside, we won the series at your place. Home field advantage is a real fucking thing. You guys getting capitalized. End of story. Can you bitch and moan about them cheating? Yeah, of course. But at the end of the day, specifically to Dodgers fans, shut up. You guys lost at home. That's what I. It's like it was because of yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, you lost at home. Just the same way that the Astros last year lost the games, lost the series at home. Nationals beat us at our house. That's how they won the freaking series, is by beating us here in Houston. It is what it is, and everyone knows to some extent, right? Not all teams, but a lot of teams cheat. It's coming out. Red Sox cheated. Yankees cheated. I think the only ones that don't cheat are the ones that we always see at the bottom of the year, like the Mets and the Angels. No offense, dude, but they're probably the only ones who are
Oh,
legitimately
I can
trying to win
guarantee you
the
the
game.
Angels don't cheat because they get hit so hard by other teams. Uh, to the point, though, I can tell you for a fact, and I wish I had video proof of this, but I went to a game in Oakland last year,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Angels against the Oakland Athletics. Again, Angels were getting hit hard by the Athletics. Like Marcus Semien was hitting, I think it was like 4 for 4 that game, which is crazy because he's a fine hitter, but he's not like amazing. So towards the end of the game, kind of just got up, started exploring a little bit around the stadium, went towards the back, pretty empty, except for one guy sitting in the stands by himself with a drum. And before every Angels pitch, what would you hear? Bang, bang, bang. Right? And who was pitching for the Athletics in 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? Mike Fires. The snitch himself, Mike Fires, pitching for the Athletics, who are
Man.
using the exact same method that the Astros are using. Hmm.
Yeah,
Coincidence? I don't know.
I don't know, dude. I don't think it
Yeah,
is. Again,
yeah. And
I
a lot of experts will talk about this thing. Yeah, it's probably not just the Astros using this method, right? It's probably a lot of teams. It just happens to be that the Astros were the ones who got caught because of one person who snitched.
and it's not only that too. They got caught, sure, but it's like they they used that method all the way up to a championship ring. Which again, I'm not debating that. Like I get it, fine. MLB did their thing. I do slightly agree, but there should have been some repercussions for the team. I don't know what. I don't know what punishment you could have had, if I'm being honest. But I do agree something should have happened. Right? I don't think taking away their ring. I don't think so. Because again, Dodgers lost it at home. So that has to count for something. Whether you like it or not, that does have to count for something. So but yeah, something should have been done. A little bit more than just AJ getting fired. But anyways, it is what it is. I only bring that up because I want to talk about the whole Joe Kelly controversy. Now I'll let Brian say his opinion about it because I've been seeing a lot of people just talking shit like, yeah, the Astros deserve it, right? The Astros deserve to get hit. The Astros deserve to have pitches thrown at them and blah 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 because they cheated. They cheated. That's everyone's justification, right? They cheated. I'm gonna ask you first. Obviously, I'm very heated about it, and I'm sure I've told you about this, but I'm gonna publicly put it on a public forum. But what do you think about that? What do you do you, oh, well, I'm passionate. I'm hitting the mic. Do you think it was intentional by Joe Kelly? Do you think it was like it's just the pitch got away from him? Despite which one, do you think the Astros definitely deserve it? Do you think they don't deserve it? What's your take on it before I say mine?
I think
Oh,
both.
and quick,
It,
quick.
oh, a
Sorry.
little koozie. Is that the one from the game we went to? I don't know if we got a koozies that
No,
day.
because this is the championship one. This is after.
Okay.
Hence the gold.
The fool's gold, if you ask me.
The fool's gold. That's a good one. Can't even be mad at that. That's good.
Yeah. No, I
Anyway,
think it's so. I think it's both. I think it was intentional, and it got out of his hand, right? So Joe Kelly's notorious for being a wild pitcher, and I think he uses that to his advantage, right? Because people know that he doesn't have the best command, and it's it's been seen in the past where Joe Kelly has thrown at players intentionally, right? And you, I don't have good control. Sorry, right? And that's not cool, right? Because what year? I don't remember what year it was, but in 2015, I think, right? Joe Kelly was pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals, threw a so-and-so called wild pitch at Dodgers batter Hanley Ramirez, breaks his ribs, changes the whole series, right? Cardinals go on to win. when Joe Kelly was playing with the Boston Red Sox. Also, like I think they MLB has used like an incident where he was pitching at a player as a ruling for no, he deserves to have 8 games, an eight game suspension because he's done this shit before. And then so fast forward to recent, right, where Joe Kelly's throwing at Astros players. That looked pretty intentional, if you ask me.
Yep.
Right. And it's one thing if you're gonna like throw at a batter, right? Because that's kind of part of the unwritten rules of the game, where you have to stand up for your team. Joe Kelly wasn't pitching for the Dodgers in 2017. He wasn't even part of it, right? What beef does he have?
Mm-hmm.
And no, so it's part of the game to kind of throw at a batter. It is what it is, right? But man, he threw that hard. It was like
Dude.
96 miles an hour at someone's head. Like that's
Yeah.
intention to kill. That's not no. If you ask me, I would just kick him out for the whole league. Honestly, I would just ban him. I would ban Joe
And
Kelly. He's way too dangerous of a pitcher. Right? It's have you ever seen Major League with Charlie Sheen as the Wild Thing?
oh, a long time ago. I can't
Yeah.
remember it off my head.
Well, yeah. There's this sequence where like he throws really hard, which is his asset, but he has no control. So they put instead of having like live batters stand in for his bullpen session, they're putting up cardboard people, and he's just like breaking heads left and right. Right. That's what it feels like Joe Kelly's doing right now, and it's crazy.
I mean, all right. So obviously for me, yeah. I mean, you can't convince me that it wasn't intentional. The ball got away from him. I try not to curse so much on this show, but for all those fans, they're like, "Oh, it wasn't intentional." The pitch, fucking bullshit, dude. You can see it. At the because he hit Bregman and then he tried to hit Correa and Correa ducked in time. Thankfully, because that fucking ball was aiming for Correa's head. Number one. Number two, the way you see it, he sets it up to make it seem like the ball got away from him because he's constantly attacking that same corner of the box for both Bregman and Correa, right? And he's throwing like these fastballs, and they're not to take away his proficiency as pitching, and they're fucking furious fastballs, dude. 92, 94, 96. It's fucking crazy. And it just so happens this one fastball gets away from him, aiming directly at Correa's head. And he has a history of doing this before. And he just hit Bregman and walked him. And you want to tell me it was unintentional? Come on, dude. I like set aside club baseball team loyalties, whatever. Right? If you're a Dodgers fan, like I get it. There's probably something sympathetic about that team to you. I get it now. Legit, I do because of being a Nationals fan. And before that, being like a soccer fan with like the Mexico League and like coming from LA, I love the Lakers because I grew up like Kobe and all that shit that represented. Put all that blind loyalty aside and just try to look at it objectively. If the Astros cheated or not, do you really think that warrants a serious injury? Like a potential season ending, God forbid, career ending injury? That baseball was going 96 miles at that dude's head. Protective wear or not. Do you honestly think legitimately as a human being that's warranted? Like,
Can I interject right here?
yeah,
Yeah, you're talking to Dodgers fans. Of course they think it's fair.
that's true
Dodgers
too.
fans are fucking dirty. I said it. Dodgers fans are dirty.
They are, this is fair too, because you guys are loyal but not loyal to as well. Like, how are you gonna burn like your best pitcher's jersey at the end of a World Series? How are you gonna like put it on the ground and like run over it, light it on fire? You guys are dirty, dude. I agree with that. That being said, every famous club around the world, right? Baseball, soccer, whatever. If any particular team is super famous and they get fans, eventually you get some rotten eggs, right? It's the same thing with like, let's say for example, Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in all the world for soccer or football, as I like to call it. And they
El
have
fútbol.
they have notoriously been known in the Premier League to have the most crimes committed by fans, both like arson and like fights and then like racial crimes and stuff like that. That being said, Manchester United is literally the the biggest club in probably the whole world, arguably, right? So they have fans all over the place. So of course you're gonna get a couple of bagged eggs, and I get it. I don't want to. All joking aside, I don't want to lump in all Dodgers fans as just dirty shills. Although the majority of them are, but not all of them. But that being said,
No, I mean
legit,
just 99%. I don't.
yeah, there's just that 1%. But
No,
legit,
to be okay, to be quite honest, like I have a lot of friends that are Dodgers fans, right? And
what samesies?
yeah, most of them are pretty cool. Like
Yeah,
they're open for discussion, and they like to go back and forth, and it's all in good fun. But
except that,
there is a small percentage that
yeah,
are
yeah.
really horrible.
And
Yeah,
again,
and it sucks that they get a lot of publicity,
they got
and that's the way it is, right?
they got that cash. That's it's like the Yankees, dude. It's like that's whatever. Point is, just looking at it as a human person, I will discuss with you and even agree with you on the extent of like, yeah, the Astros cheated, more should have been done. I can agree with that legitimately. I can't agree on, yeah, the Astros have it coming. They should get hit with balls. I don't agree with that at all. However you feel about them cheating, I wouldn't feel about that about Boston. I wouldn't feel about that about the Yankees, about Dodgers, nobody. No player deserves to get hurt seriously or potentially seriously because of anything done in the game. At the end of the day, it's a fucking game. It's meant to be fun and entertaining. We express the joys of victory and the agony of defeat. But at the end of the day, literally nothing happens to us. We didn't have baseball for the longest time now, and what happened? We were bored, but physically, what else happened to us? Fucking nothing. We didn't gain anything. We didn't lose anything. At the end of the day, it's just entertainment, right? And no one should get hurt because of that. That's all I want to say about that. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got that's all I want to say about it. But if you got any last things you want to interject, I'll let you close this one.
No, let's go to move on, right? Because you mentioned that baseball was gone for a very long time, right? It was supposed to have come back in March, and
Mm-hmm.
it did for a little bit for spring training. Uh, but then life happens, right? And then more life happens, and then things get really bad. With that said, the biggest story in all of Astros aside, the biggest story in baseball right now is this whole COVID-19 and the quarantine, right? And what they're doing to stay safe, and a lot of players, big name players too, have are opted out of the season because of safety concerns, right? The biggest thing I can think of is San Francisco Giants catcher Buster Posey, who just adopted two twin girls, right? Him and his wife adopted these girls. They're very young. I want to say less than a year old. They seem very young, but out of concern for their health and their safety, and then his wife and their other kids too, decided that this year wasn't worth playing, and he opted out. The same thing with a lot of other players. They don't feel like it's safe.
And I, I'm fine with that. I'm like good because number one, yeah, protect your family. Like your health and your family is number one prior to your responsibilities or job or whatever. Health and family number one always. And also, it's a good thing too because it gives opportunities. Like we have a lot of young rookies debuting this year. I think like the first series was like oh man, I think it was the Angels and the Mariners. I might be getting that wrong, but like six new players debuted in that series with both from both teams. You know what I mean? It's a wonderful thing to get new players, and it's creating all these opportunities. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. That does remind me though. This is the one thing I do mind. I don't mind players opting out, or if they're playing during the season, then decide like you know what, I'm not feeling comfortable, especially with everything that happened with what team was it? Was it Miami?
Miami
Right?
Marlins and
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes. I don't blame them after that happened. Be like, you know what? I thought I could do this. I just can't. I do not blame any players whatsoever. I do, however, have something against you just leaving and not telling anybody. That seems irresponsible. And I'm specifically talking about Cespedes from the Mets, which is another team I kind of sort of follow because of my soon to be brother in law. He's a huge Mets fan. Um, and he returned this season. He was a season back after 2 years. He had like some serious injuries, like an ankle injury and like a back injury, and he finally came back to play. Played like what, 2 series, and then one day it was the talk of the town. I remember that too. He just disappeared. The Mets had a game. He didn't call anybody. He didn't show up to the stadium. He was just gone. And right, the first thing people think, which is what I think, being a wrestling fan, because is what happened to Eddie Guerrero, rest in peace. When somebody doesn't show up or doesn't call or nothing, the first thing you think is, "Oh my God, he, he's dead." Like he's dead. Like
Or
there's no reason.
something happened.
Something
Hmm.
horrible must have happened, right? That's the first thing you think. And I would imagine that's what the organization was thinking. Like, holy shit, we can't get a hold of Cespedes. And so they sent people to his hotel room. His hotel room's empty, which right off the bat is a little weird. And then eventually, after the game, he calls him and he said, "Yeah, I came home. I'm not gonna play anymore." And that was that, right? Which again, I'm trying to preface this by saying, I don't mind you. If it happened to Springer or Correa as much or Bregman, as much as it would suck for me as a fan, and especially because our bullpen right now is, ugh. Anyways, but if they decided, I don't want to play the rest of the season, I don't feel safe, I want to keep my health and my family. Hey, I get it, but the responsible thing to do is to tell your organization. Don't just up and leave, dude, and then not tell anybody. Like, and then also to add on top of that, that the Mets signed him for like a few, like a what, like a 4 year contract, and
Hmm.
he only played like 1 year out
Huge
of it.
contract.
It was
Yeah.
like $150 million. You only play one season, kind of sort of. You're out for two. You kind of return for the last one, which is the shortest season in like baseball history because of COVID. And you're just like, ah, fuck it, I'm out. You don't tell anybody, bro. It's kind of
Yeah.
fucked
No,
up.
he also like his injuries. One of his injuries, I know for sure, was because he was during the off season messing around like at his ranch or something, like at a rodeo. I think like he was.
Yeah.
It was like some kind of like freak accident while he was doing things he wasn't supposed to. If you want to protect your body, as a professional athlete, which your body is your asset.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta take care of it. He wasn't. He was being a bonehead, doing some stuff he wasn't supposed to. He got injured. Like it's he's quite a character. And he used to play for the Athletics, so I would see him like all the time playing against the Angels. He was a really good player, like legit. Like I was always scared when he came up to bat.
Yeah.
But more so than that, he was a really good fielder, right? Whenever a ball get hit like in his direction, you knew like for sure he's gonna catch it or he's gonna throw somebody out. And I've seen him throw from like the corner of Angel Stadium to home plate in like one giant like just swoop, just flung it across, and he threw somebody out. Like the runner was like surprised that the ball actually came. Really good player, very talented, but a bonehead a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a one instance that was really quick where I was at the game. It was kind of late. The Athletics were just kind of killing the Angels, which is kind of the story always. But there's this guy sitting behind me. He was, you could tell he was kind of just there to be there with his friends. But he finds out that Suspect's first name is Ioannis, and this guy goes, "His name is Ioannis." Oh, dude! And then the rest of the night, he's yelling, "Ioannis,"
That sounds
which
about right.
which is
Er,
kind of what he is.
That reminds me, yeah, he is a butt. That reminds me of the when I went to New York last summer with my family. We went to a Mets game, and we got to visit the relatively new stadium in Citi Field in Queens. And we were on left side of the field. We were having a great time. There was like these three drunk dudes behind us, and one of them just kept screaming the whole time, "Milky, Milky!" Just the whole, like 4 innings, just the whole time. Put in Milky. No, we were just like, oh Jesus. So it takes. It's not as terrible as or as clever as Yoanus, but
Yeah.
it takes all kinds, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, that's those are kind of the main things to take away from baseball in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, if we want to get to statistics or whatever, Angels did pretty good against the Astros. Astros got surprisingly dominated by the Diamondbacks, which is fucking hilarious to think, and also kind of sad because it's the Diamondbacks. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy it's back. It's really cool to just sit down, have a beer, and watch the game. Like it's makes life feel a little normal, despite like every once in a while, like the announcers keep reminding us, "Hey, it's COVID." Like, yeah, no shit. Just talk about the
Yeah,
game.
but
But
I mean, to be fair, like, you can't really talk about baseball without talking about COVID at some
yeah,
point.
I get it too.
Hmm.
But it's still like I'm trying to watch baseball to not think about the fact that I can't go to it. But
Yeah.
anyways, that's not why I was so hyped at the beginning of the episode. The reason I'm incredibly hyped, like I said, is because Schmoedown is back in a big bad way. It's been around, hasn't really gone away, but now live events are back, and more importantly, we're starting to get actual championship matches, right? Last year, oh God, COVID, it kind of was last year. No, but last week we got a number one's contender match, right? Which is amazing, which will eventually see the main event for that, the actual championship match, not next week, but the following week, I think on the 21st. But today is was a really good day because it's the reason why I think it's safe to say it's the reason why Brian got into it, because today was an IG championship match, was the main event, right? And you've been hearing mad hype about the IG champion Kevin the Smasher Smets. But before we
Okay, real
go,
quick,
yeah, go for it.
because I know I've already mentioned this to you before. I want to put it out there for the public to hear that if you've ever seen the Netflix show Daredevil, right, for the first I think 3 episodes, you hear the name Kingpin, right, but you never see him, and it's this way to kind of build up like the notoriety of this character, like, oh, like, it's Kingpin, be quiet before Kingpin hears you, stuff like that, right? So it kind of helps to build this like mythos behind the name, and that's what Kevin Smets has been for me. Like, because throughout the whole IG tournament, all you ever hear is Kevin Smets, Kevin Smets. Are you looking forward to Kevin Smets? Like how much closer do you think you are to Kevin Smets? And so this whole mythos building behind the idea of Kevin Smets, right? I don't even know who he is. I don't know what he looks like. I can Google it, but I don't know, right? And just all I hear is Kevin Smets. It's Kevin Smets, the undefeatable Kevin Smets. So going into this match, like, I'm super hyped too, because I finally get to see Kevin Smets.
Oh man,
And
and
oh man, what a match it was!
oh my God, it was so freaking good. Before we get into it, let's just really quickly, we're not going to dive too deep like we did last week for the undercard match, but we do want to talk about it a little bit. It was a tag team match, the winner of last week's match. Final exam going up against the Pride, who is Ben Goddard, Ben the Bandit Goddard, and Rachel the Switchblade Silverstream, which I love the fact, a little tidbit. She used to be Shooting Star Silverstream, but she wanted so badly to be called the Switchblade, became a joke on the SCN morning show that they do. But eventually, the fans, it went from being like a joke to the fans being like, that's actually kind of a cool fucking nickname. Yeah, give her the Switchblade. And they officially changed it to the Switchblade. That's pretty cool. Um,
Nice.
just really quickly, at I'm just by the way, spoilers. Boop. Big old spoilers. If you don't care, obviously keep on keeping on. You can. I think we're trying to drop these episodes are on Tuesday. Um, I've had some problems. We've had some connection problems, but we're trying to drop the episodes on Tuesdays. And usually, if a match is pay per viewed, it's live on Friday. They usually the following week on Friday it appears on YouTube. If you sign up to the Patreon, uh, the $10 tier lets you see all the matches live. The $5 tier, you get to see the match. I think they drop it on Tuesday for $5 tier. I think Wednesdays for $1, and then eventually the world gets it on YouTube on Friday. Just as a heads up. Um, I'm obviously a $10 tier, so I get to watch all the matches live. I'm assuming Brian is too, because he's been able to watch it so far along with me.
Well,
Or
actually,
he's been buying tickets.
I've been buying tickets for a day of events. $4.99, not a bad price point,
No, but
especially when I'm
legitimately,
used to paying like $75 for WrestleMania. Like,
legitimately, I would recommend, at least for this month now that you're moving on, go to the Patreon because it's just $10 and you get all of them.
yeah,
So
that
I
sounds
should have mentioned that
yeah.
earlier. I'm a trouble friend, but I didn't know. That's my bad. But I'm mentioning it now. Better late than never. Anyways, final exam. Apollo Yama, Lon, the delinquent, Harris defeat the Pride in a surprising TKO. Exam with 27 points to finish. Pride with 21. They just couldn't get there. Um, Real quick, what'd you think of the match? Especially now seeing, because you saw final exam perform last week, and I get to see him
Hmm.
perform this week. What do you think of their performance in the match overall?
Oh, I'm hot and cold on Lon Harris. Sometimes I'm like I'm over his character, and just like I'm a little bit annoyed. And then he does these little things that are like just little perfect gems. I'm like, okay, no, I'm back in, right?
That's what you get, man. It's
That's my biggest takeaway from this match. Um, no, but man, what a team, right? Like
dude.
between Lon Harris and Paulo Yama, like, they seem to cover every single base.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. They work so well together.
Yeah, I would say I was talking to a friend about this earlier, and it's to me, right, watching them play now, they complement each other so well. And I think the reason that works is because like they have the same amount of knowledge, it feels like to me, but they have also in specific areas that the other might not have, which is really good in a team, right? Because if one person is like really good at say classics, then you kind of want the other person to be really good like moderns or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you want that counterbalance to make sure you're an all around really great team. And I feel like as odd as that pairing is, because of the whole character of the delinquent and then Paul just kind of being like a chill dude, I think they worked perfectly, man. That John Carpenter round they had, they crushed it. I don't think that, yeah, they didn't miss.
They didn't miss anything. They got it all perfect round.
Yeah, yeah. It was, yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was weird, man. But it was really good. The Pride did good too, like 21 points, nothing to like sneeze at. It's unfortunate the couple of missed questions in the first round from Rachel. She didn't get the perfect round. Paul and Ben did. And then round two, man, that spike category was
That was
ridiculously
brutal.
hard, right? It
Yeah,
was
it was
brutal, right?
brutal.
It was a really, really hard one. I think that's where they probably. It's unfortunate. That's the luck of the wheel, which is part of the game, right? Because they spun John Carpenter first, and they went, "Oh no, we're not good at that." They get their mulligan, and they get Spy, and you. I would think though, because it's not something I've seen a lot of, so I wouldn't think it would be like super deep cut questions like these were.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if you really think about it, like spy films have gone like back to like the 1920s. Like there have been spy movies for a long, long time,
Dude.
and there was just I think there's just way too much to pull from. Whereas John Carpenter, like I'm not huge on John Carpenter. I couldn't even name a single film if you asked me, not off the top of my head, but I feel like that fewer movies to pull from. I
Yeah,
might want to go for that.
yeah, yeah, and it depends though too, right? Because like you said, like obviously if you were competing, you would probably spin away from John Carpenter just because it's
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
in a heartbeat.
familiar with. That's clearly what happened with Ben and Rachel. They were like, yeah, no, we're not comfortable in that. But surprisingly, uh, when final exam goes to spin, they spin John Carpenter, and they're like, heck yeah, we'll take it, and they crushed it.
Hmm.
They both relatively knew all the answers, right? And if somebody didn't know the answer or they were kind of unsure of it, the other person would be like, no, no, it's that. You're right. It's like, okay, cool, final answer. And it was like,
Yeah.
it was just, they did so well, they didn't have to answer any of their questions in the third round. And that, hence the TKO. They didn't have to answer
Hmm.
any questions in the third round. It was a catch up game, and unfortunately, the Pride couldn't catch up, and final exam takes it. It's weird because now this is where it gets tough, right? Because it's like because now you got to question if the Pride as a team works, right? And
Mm.
this is where it gets iffy because I don't think anyone listens to me talk about Schmoedown, but just in case, I just want to say, Rachel, I love you. Ben, I mean, I'm just getting to know you. You seem like a cool guy. But yeah, I just
Before you say anything, I want to say one thing about Ben
yeah,
Goddard. Fantastic teammate, right?
yeah.
Fantastic
Oh,
teammate. He had Rachel's back the whole way through.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Say what you will about Ben Goddard, but great teammate.
yeah. Take away. I'm taking away the personas. Like I love the whole kayfabe aspect of it, but I'm just strictly talking about the competition, right? Because technically speaking, Ben and Rachel are supposed to be heels, right? Which means I hate you guys, boo. But in real life, y'all are the greatest people I've met. But yeah, but you now you gotta really seriously. And I would imagine their manager legit has to be like, do you guys work as a team? Like, do you guys complement each other enough to work as a team, right? And for me personally, I'm starting to see that like maybe not. Maybe it's not. It's not because either of them are weak players. I don't want to think that. Like, obviously, every player has like that one weak category or several weak categories. Because, like you said, man, it's just a lot of information out there. But it's just for me, like, I don't know if they mesh well in terms of their knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
go
to
for it.
me, it seems like they're kind of the same player,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe like they work well, like personality wise, like yeah, they get along great. But it's kind of the opposite of the final exam, where like they kind of like complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. To me, it seemed like the pride is kind of like they're two of the same players, so they have the same strengths and the same weaknesses, and I
Yeah.
don't think that works well as a team.
No,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of need to, and that's where the managing aspect I think has to come in because you kind of have to find. That's where it gets tricky because you kind of have to find the two players that complement each other, right? In terms of the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, right? Because you can have conflicting personalities. Sometimes that works, right? Like oil and water. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. So for me personally, just thinking about who I don't know who Ben can team up with currently in the den. Because I don't know if there's anybody that can really complement what Ben is doing. He's kind of like an He's kind of like an IG player in my book. Not to say that he can't do well in singles. I just haven't really seen him do singles that well. But IG, he obviously crushed. He had a great run at it. I think for Rachel though, again, and we've only seen him play once, but just kind of talking to the dude, I really think Saul would be a great
Mm.
teammate for Rachel. I think he has knowledge and stuff that Rachel just doesn't, and I think Rachel has all the knowledge that Saul doesn't. You see what I'm saying? Again, it's just purely based on the little bit I've seen Saul play and talking to the dude he's a good dude.
Right. So
Um
what you're saying is, Kate, if you're listening, take
yeah,
David's advice.
Kate, here's some free advice. First of all, thank you for using my song, and second of all, now use my advice because if I can crush this theme song that hard, I don't know where I'm going with this. No, but legit, like I honestly, legitimately think I think Saul is supremely underrated. I think people are sleeping on Saul. I think no one's really had a chance to really see him play. Just a little bit I've seen from him behind the curtain, I really think he would be a really great tag team member. And I honestly think it's a weird experiment. I have nothing to really go with it on, but I
Nothing
really
than your
think,
gut feeling.
yeah, I honestly think he would work really well with Rachel. I don't know. It's unproven, obviously, because Saul's only done one IG match and he lost against Brandon, but it was
Which
his
was a really
really,
close match.
it was
That was
really
a
close. It was a really,
fantastic match to watch.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, those are my final thoughts on the match. Exam, they earned it. It was a well fought match. TKO. Congratulations. Brian, any last minute matches before we get to the main event?
Um, no, other than just Paul like recollection of these little details is amazing.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, it my mind's blown.
the guy has a mind for it,
Yeah,
legit. It's kind of scary, which explains why he was able to be the singles champion last year. The youngest singles champion, if
I think that's what they've said. Yeah.
memory serves me well.
All
Anyways,
right.
get to the main event, dude. The IG Championship match, and dude, you have no idea. I've been so psyched. I've been dying to see the Smasher play again ever since Spectacular when I got to see him play. Legit, I got to play music at Spectacular, and I got to play in Mike KL Kalinowski, who at the time was the IG champion. I got to bring him in, and I got to watch that whole match on the side of the theater, and I was just like, dude, I was fucking hyped. I'm pretty sure I annoyed the actual performers. Like, who's this fucking Mark? You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
I was hyped, dude. I love IG so much and wanted to
And Mark
lose them.
Ellis is
But
like, no, I'm the Mark.
yeah, exactly. No, because in wrestling terms, Mark means a fan. But
Mm.
but yeah, just getting to see Smasher play again, I was so hyped. And the reason I was so hyped was because he was supposed to play earlier in the year. Again, he mentioned it in his post interview. He was supposed to play against Mara in Atlanta. That got unfortunately canceled. And then he was supposed to play at the live event here in Houston. And that was right before COVID hit, so that got canceled, unfortunately. So it's just been like this thing of like I've been amped up to see him play live, and then add on top of the fact um, Smasher in particular, Smets holds a little special place in my heart because he was like not the first competitor that was Rachel, but he was like the first IG competitor. No, not that was also Rachel too. I apologize. Um, where am I going with this? He was the second competitor to reach out to me personally and be like, I want you to write something for me. You know what I mean? And it was like,
Hmm.
it was actually really fun because it was really like back and forth between me and him, which I really love. I really love when I have to write something for a competitor, be able to go back and forth with them and just kind of like pick their brains about stuff. And he was really cool about it too. And we got to write a killer theme song, which kind of, you can kind of hear on it. It's a little, audio is a little weird, but, and he was like one of the first people when I went to go to the live event in December, who was like, really like, oh shit, you're David Beat. Oh, dude, come here. The song is, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh yeah, that's my dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
I didn't get to meet Chandru. I'm sure he's a sweet guy behind the scenes, but his persona, his whole heel Chandru thing, I find it so annoying. I legitimately just like, he's dancing again. He's saying how great everyone is. It's just kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like that how can I describe it, man? It's a great legit. I'm not. It's not. I'm pretty sure everyone said in the post interview, Chandru the person's a great guy. I'm talking about Chandru the persona, the heel character that he's playing. It's legit annoying in the same way that I find like that I used to find Triple H annoying back in the Attitude Era.
How dare
You know
you?
what I mean? But you know how Triple H was like this monster heel, and he was just like, it's just annoying. Like you just got annoyed seeing him, and he was like so good at what he did. He was constantly winning. You're just like, I'm so annoyed by you. And it's this aspect of being a heel that I really love because it's legitimate heat. You know what I mean? Like fans are starting to legit not like him. Like you go through that chat room, like, what a dick. This guy's an asshole. And it's like, he's doing a great job, dude. He's getting
Yeah,
real heat. So
it's like and it's crazy because you mentioned wrestling, right? And wrestling fans, like the real wrestling fans, they're intelligent, right? They understand when someone's playing a character, and then when that character is so good that it gets under those fans' skins, that's
yeah,
how you know they're good, right? That's I
how do
think
you
that's what
know?
Chandru's doing. Like even though he's
Yes.
playing a character, it still gets under your skin.
Yeah. And that's
Hmm.
the best aspect about and this is I hope if he watches this, I don't think he will. I don't think anybody does. But if he watches this by any chance, I'm not trying to like bash you, dude. I think that that persona you found, I think it's excellent. I think it's what the Schmoedown needs. We need people to hate. And I don't hate you in terms of your persona, but oh my god, I do not like watching you on screen. It's so great. It's legitimate. I don't remember the last time.
So it's actually the opposite of hate. Like you're praising how good he is at making you hate him.
Yeah, I'm praising how
Yeah.
good he is at me not liking him.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about as a wrestling
Yeah.
fan. Like if you're gonna play heel, you don't want to be that cool, likable heel. You know what I mean? Like
Then you
you
get
want,
Stone Cold thing where he's supposed to be a heel, but he's
but
so
everyone loves
likable.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you want legitimate heat, and then add on top of that, if you can actually play and be a legit contender, and then you have that heat. Oh my god, dude, that's money. That's money making. That's legit. That's good business. Like legit. And I'm sure right now Christian's like, oh, thank God, thank God. You know what I mean? Because like,
Hmm.
because you have that persona that like, I'm pretty sure he's reading the chat room being like, wow, the fans really dislike him.
Yeah.
Because now
Now
people
it's
are
about the chase. It's about the chase, right? Who's gonna
exactly.
be the one to chase down this heel?
It's exactly what happened with the Patriots. Everyone disliked the Patriots, and they were a team
Hmm.
that you love to hate legitimately. And they kept fucking winning. They won 9 times, dude. And people just kept coming back, just hoping someone would beat them up. You know what I mean? And I really
Yeah.
think the way,
Same thing with the Yankees, right? The Empire from the East
yes, you
kept
get it.
on winning. It's the team that you love to hate.
Yeah, that's what I mean, Chandru.
Hmm.
Fucking aces, dude. Good job. Because obviously, I don't know if you saw the post interview. Post interview, everyone kind of broke kayfabe, and it was like real people and like that guy I love. I'm like, he's a sweet dude. It's very clear he's passionate about the game. But like everything before that, the promos and then
The
the
in
uh
game.
the pre-match interview and then during the game, I was just like, oh my god, dude.
Just shut up.
Oh,
Just shut
dude,
up.
just shut up and play. And it was so good. Uh, anyways, let's get into the nitty gritty of it. Championship match, 5 rounds, right? No one got a perfect first round, which is usually the general questions, right? And we get this. This is what I love about the game. The fans hate it. I love this about the game. Legit. I get so hyped up, I literally jump up my seat when a challenge is issued. And we get our first challenge in that first round, which is the whole surrogates and the surrogates is the first challenge, right? And it's
Right.
Chandru challenging Smets because Chandru missed one. I forgot which one he missed. But if Smets gets this, he gets the perfect round. He gets the bonus question. So I think Chandru put the surrogates, right?
No, Chandra put surrogates.
No, Chandru put yeah, thank you. He put
Hmm.
surrogates, and then Canvas Smets put
The 2015 film starring Bruce Willis, Surrogates.
yep, and then Smets put the surrogates. And Chandru's issue was it's a two-letter title, and the isn't part of the title. Therefore, the answer is incorrect. Now, they go to the challenge. It's a long fucking challenge. They come back after a few minutes. They rule in favorites of Smets. But then, when they hear that ruling, Chandru and legit, this is the competitor, and it's his infinite wisdom with Winston goes no, because back in Atlanta we did the opposite, where because someone didn't put the in the title, the answer was wrong. I'm saying there's precedent for putting the or not putting the. And this is basically the same thing. It's just the inverse. They added but the isn't part of the title in this particular instance. Therefore, it should be considered wrong. Mark Ellis and his infinite wisdom decides to go back and review the challenge again. They come back, and now the challenge is in favor of Chandru. Smets doesn't get the question, therefore Smets does not get a perfect round. No one gets a perfect round. No bonus question. Thoughts on that, my friend?
Oh man. So this to me, right, ties back to baseball. When they implemented the replay in baseball, um, they said, okay, like you can challenge a play and we'll watch it on replay,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if there isn't enough evidence to overturn the original call, the call stands. If there's enough evidence to overturn the call, we'll overturn the call. But once the first initial uh, response is in, that's it. Like you cannot challenge the challenge. And so this is where I'm conflicted, right? Because Chandru has a legit gripe, right? Like I agree with the challenge. The initial challenge was the does not belong, and I agree. It does not belong in the title. With that said, the reviewers did their job, and they reviewed it, and they gave a response, and that should have been it. Whether it was the wrong response or the right one, that was the response, and then they could have talked about it afterwards. But to sit there and argue with the initial review, that's a load of BS to me.
Mm. This is where I agree but disagree with you, and here's why. I honestly think, and he didn't show it at first, but he did eventually. I honestly think more than being like an official challenge, that was Chandra trying to get into Smet's head. And I honestly think he succeeded because it took forever. Chandra was still griping, right? And it doesn't hurt to gripe, right? Best case scenario, Chandru gripes enough to where they review the challenge, right? In most cases, that won't happen in the game, and I agree with you, it shouldn't, because then you could just challenge upon challenge upon challenge, and we just don't get a game. We
Mm-hmm.
just get a bunch of nonsense debating and a lot of screens saying "We'll be right back" or "Challenge and review" or whatever. But I think he was right in griping because there's president, and he was very smart. I'll give him that. He was super smart to be able to tell everybody exactly what he was talking about. He told the match, what match it was, what example it was on the date, and then he kept going back and he's like, "Look, we've done it before, and here's an example. Are we not doing it now? Are we changing it again?" And I think that is honestly to me that's a fair point. It's a fair thing to point out. And I think in with especially with Mark trying to keep the integrity of the game because I would agree to some extent about the whole MLB comparison. There's a lot of times, and you know this as a sports fan, where like just to save face, even though the call is wrong, they won't say the call is wrong, just to save face on the
Mm-hmm.
umpire. You know what I'm saying? And that's not just this baseball. It happens a lot in football too, where you clearly see there's like a penalty or some kind of foul, and just to fucking save face because the fucking umpires and referees are never wrong. They won't overturn it, right? There has to be sufficient evidence, which I also think is a bit of a BS issue, but that's beside the
Mm.
point. Mark Ellis trying to keep the game fair, and because it's a championship match, I think if this was just any other old match, right? IG tournament, just a regular 3 round match. No, it's the final. It's the final period. It's what the judges decide or whatever. Because it's a championship match, Mark Ellis goes, you know what? If you guys will allow me, I'll review it and I'll accept it a challenge. And I think it's fair, just so that we don't have any like, because that happens a lot too about the details and nitty gritty of certain answers in the Schmoedown, especially IG, which has to be specific, kind of like Star Wars.
Mhm.
There's just limited for fans who don't know, right? IG has a limited amount of movies that actually qualify for IG questions. I think it's a total of like 57 movies in total, compared to like singles, which is literally any movie ever made ever. You know what I'm saying? To a certain extent, but essentially every movie ever made ever. So you kind of have to get into the details of it all. And I think Chandru was so damn smart in doing it. I think Mark was really wise in going, okay, we'll review what you said, and then coming back and being like, you know what, he had a point. I think it's excellent. Now, what I will agree with you a little bit is now it says it does affect games going in the future, right?
Mhm.
Because now, because someone challenged a challenge, like where do we draw the line? Like, look, it is what it is. And eventually, you kind of saw it a little bit with Christian in the speed round, where it's like, look, there's no JTs and there's no challenges. It is what it is, whatever. Because Chandru brought up in that fourth round, well, technically speaking, Maria Hill wasn't in 6 films, blah blah blah. But it was like, look, whatever.
Yeah.
The question is what it is, right? And I agree with that too. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens with the game moving forward. But any final thoughts on that challenge? I know I'm griping a lot because I'm like just so fucking hyped.
No, that's the main thing I want to say. Is I don't agree that you can challenge the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That you can disagree with the initial ruling, but to me, it has to be what it is.
I can
Mm-hmm.
get that. And we'll see. This is what I love about the Schmoedown too, right? It's always evolving. The rules are always evolving to make the game better and make it more legit. So there's not so much gripe. So we'll see how this evolves the game moving forward. I legitimately think moving on, especially considering that, like, I honestly feel like this challenge is what helped Chandru win. Honestly,
Oh, for sure. That was a turning point.
yeah, for sure. So I honestly think this moving forward, we're going to see competitors really try to implement this, and we'll see how the Schmoedown judges, Christian, Mark, and everyone behind the scenes reacts to it. But moving on to
Yeah,
round two.
because Smets was on a roll. Like he was, like you say, he was going to be perfect for that round, if not for that challenge, and it really did get into his head. Where in round two, yeah, completely different story with Smets.
Because I would have to imagine, like, because you have that momentum going and you feel it, and to just have it stop, it has to kind of fuck with
Mm-hmm.
you, right? If and you we obviously see it in sports all the time, where a team will have some momentum and then something happens where something stops, and all of a sudden the game might turn. It happens a lot.
In
Um,
basketball happens all the time, where like a
yeah,
team could be on a roll, and then the other team calls a timeout just to stop that momentum.
yeah.
That's what this was. It was a whole huge timeout.
It's just weird seeing the timeout work in favor of the team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's yeah, that's good. It's gonna be so interesting seeing how this affects the game moving forward. But yeah, going into round two, uh, um,
Smets goes first.
Matt spins first, and he spins
Gets the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
So
Or
right
as
off the
Mark Ellis likes to say, the Wizarding World of that boy with the wand.
bat, yeah, God bless Mark Ellis. So he spins it, and this is where it's interesting for me because Kaiser's manager goes, "You don't like that," or off the bat, right? He's like,
Mm-hmm.
"I don't know, man." But Smets goes, "No, no, no, I want it because I want a challenge." Hindsight being 2020, and knowing how this turns out, right? Was that the most
Mm.
savory of moves? What do you think? And explain to the audience the second round moving forward. Like what
Gets a
happened
second.
in Chandru?
So the second round, right? It's a wheel. They spin to get a category. He gets the Wizarding World. He has to answer I think, 5, 6 questions from this
Yeah,
round.
five. It's 5.
5,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 points if you answer it straight off the question. 1 point if you option to go to multiple choice. And there's one instance where Smets did not go to multiple choice, and he got it wrong, right, which allowed Chandra to steal those 2 points. Um, and whereas it was a tie 9-9, right, by the end of that second round, I think it was really close. It was like 14-12 with
Hmm. And that's
yeah.
because like you mentioned, Smets didn't go to a multiple choice. He answered it, got it wrong. Chandru had the opportunity to steal, and he got it 2 points. And there was also one question where Smets did go to multiple, and he didn't guess it right, and then Chandru was able to steal that too, and that's why at the end of that round it was 14-12 because Chandru was able to steal 3 points in that round,
Mm-hmm.
which is, man, like, take away just being able to steal, right, is already like a big deal, but it's also the fact too that, like, after Smets, right, Chandru spins Middle Earth, and what does Chandru do with Middle Earth, Brian?
He gets them all wrong. It's crazy. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
well, and he lost the match. No, dude,
No,
perfect
perfect,
round.
perfect round. 10 points, right? And end of round two, the score I have it written down. It was
14-21.
22 to 14.
Oh,
22-14. End of the second round,
that's
and that's a
right.
huge, huge lead, right? 8 points,
Yep,
8 point lead. And in a regular 3 round match, you're like,
that's
no,
pretty much the game.
that's impossible. You can't
Yeah,
you can't catch up to that. But the 5 round game, they're like, no, there's still time,
there's still
right?
plenty of game, and that's the difference between championship matches and like a regular match. Because in a regular match, third round would be the 2 and 3 and 5 pointer question. So
Mm-hmm.
Smets would have had to answer all those questions just to tie. But third round, if you don't mind, what is the third round?
That is the betting round, where players get to choose any amounts from 0 to 3 and wager that on the question.
Nice, dude. You should be an announcer for Schmoedown. I'm gonna email Christian real quick. I got your next.
Yeah, when Mark Ellis retires.
Yeah, for sure. Legit. I got your next. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Something about diversity, and he can speak Spanish. Anyways, but yeah, the betting round, and it's mixed bag, which literally means mixed bag. It could be any
Which I
first.
thought was really fun, right? Because usually you get like a category, like okay, like they get kind of zoning on whatever. You know, like okay, like I'm good at this, I'm not good at this. I can bet, you know, 0 points, you can bet 3 points depending on what your strengths and weaknesses are. But mixed bag is anything. You can go
It's a
anywhere
gamble.
within comic book, like the realm of comic book movies. And so like
Realm
you
of
really
nerd.
gotta you really gotta just trust yourself,
Yeah,
bet
and
on yourself.
it's a huge gamble. And boy, does Smets gamble big because he's, if I remember correctly, he bet 3 points
Mm-hmm.
while Chandru bet 1 point,
1 point.
and Chandru got it wrong. Which also the betting round, by the way, whatever you put 0 to 1, if you get it right, that's how much you gain. If you get it wrong, that's how much you lose in terms of your final points, right? So
Hence the
Chandru,
wager.
yeah, hence the wager. So Chandru gets it wrong, he loses 1 point, so now he's down to 21. Smets gets it right. He gambled 3, so now he's up 17. So 17-21, he cuts that lead by half. It's 4 point lead now, which is honestly is a huge advantage, right? Because now you're not falling so far behind. Like, you can come back and win from a possible 4 point deficit. So that was a huge gamble. It was hugely successful for Smets. And we go into the fourth round, which is the
We skipped
oh yeah,
something real quick.
yeah,
Back
go for
to
it.
the round two with Chandru. Right, the last question for Middle Earth, where I don't know exactly what the question was, but the answer was like the Delathor or something like that. Right,
That's
and
right. Smets Sponge. Yeah, that's my
Smets
bad.
and
You're
and,
right.
and
You're right.
Chandru being of Indian descent, right, has a slight accent. And Smets decides to challenge. No, no, he didn't say Delathor. He said Delator,
Mm-hmm.
and he decides to challenge. And to give Smets credit, at first I want no, 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 I don't want a challenge. I don't know, forget it. But then Kaiser pushed it, right?
Mm,
Kaiser pushed that challenge. No, no, we do want a challenge, and
and
it did not work in their favor.
it's weird, right? Because it didn't work in their favor. It's a double edged sword because it is a game, especially IG is a game of detail.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be exact to get the answers right. So I can understand because I honestly think, and I'm sure this will be a point of contention, right? I honestly think Smasher came not from a place of like, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
Discrimination.
yeah, it's not from a place of discrimination or racial insensitivity. That's what I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's not from a place of that. It's literally from a place of like he didn't say it right, right? But I honestly think it's like you said too. When he was starting to think about it in his head, he was like, you know what? Never mind, because it. And he even kind of admits it too. Like I'm really disappointed in that because I didn't want it to come off like that. I really just thought he said it wrong, but I didn't think of it in terms of like his accent, which is like it's fair. Honestly, it, to me, it seems honest. I don't think he came from a place of racial insensitivity or discrimination or whatever. I really think he just his head's in the game. He's just thinking like it's Thor, not Tor. And I heard Tor too, so I get it. But at the same time too, you're like, yeah, it was like because the guy has an accent and he can't,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, and that's a weird, rare instance where it's like a manager can help you or hurt you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can see where Kaiser's coming from because he's trying to get his player back in the game. They already had a challenge where it was in their favor and then it wasn't in their favor. So of course, him as a manager, he's got to be like, you already made a decision. Why are you revolting your decision, right? Which is goes back to your point, which is I think
Mm-hmm.
most people will agree is a fair point. So of course he tells Smets, he's like, forget all of that, forget it. Just tell me, is it right or is it wrong? It's Thor, not Tor. Well, then we're challenging, which I think honestly at the end of the day, as a manager, I think it was the right call, despite the fact the challenge didn't work in their favor. I think it was the right thing to do. I think it shows more than anything you fighting for your player and being like, look, I'm gonna trust you regardless, which is what obviously Kaiser did. He's like, I'm trusting you, Smets, regardless. You know what I mean? So, but I also think too,
Yeah.
like he did.
I think he needed to have been the outside person to be like, hey, like this may come off as a little insensitive. Let's not push this forward.
Yeah, but honestly don't think they didn't see it that way in the middle of it. I think now afterwards they were like, oh yeah, duh, right? I'm sure.
No, because I don't know. To me, like I was watching real time, and that's immediately what I thought.
See, I didn't. I
You know,
legit didn't.
I immediately went, no, no, like that's you can't do that. It's I mean you can, but no, don't challenge that.
See, this is where it gets interesting because I'm not saying you didn't hear it. I believe you. I'm just saying, me personally, I didn't hear that. I literally heard Tor, and I didn't think about the fact that it was like, oh, it's because of his accent. I literally just thought, oh no, he said it wrong. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I get where you're
and
coming
that's the
from.
difference between California and Texas, my friend.
Yeah. Shut up. Everything just spiked right now.
I know. Listeners, we're very, very sorry.
Uh, ASMR. Anyways, no, but legit. I'm being goofy. I'm sorry, but yeah. I mean, like I said, hindsight being 2020, it's like yeah, that was a little bit insensitive, but I honestly don't think they were coming from a place of that. I think honestly, in the middle of it, they realized it. They were like, oh, it's gonna come off like that, and I was like, oh crap, because again, legitimately for me, this isn't me being a judge and shill or whatever, right? It's just legitimately for me. I was watching it live too, and I did not take into consideration that Chandru has an accent. That's probably why it sounded different. I just legit didn't. I was just like, no, he said it wrong. And then
No,
when they come back from the challenge, they're like, look, it's because it's like, oh yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah.
no. My initial thought was no, don't challenge that.
Which again is fair. And
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, it was like they lost the challenge, and
Yeah,
it's the right call.
and the thing is, with that challenge, you kind of gave kind of gave more ammunition for Chandra to use against Smets in the little
Yeah.
mind game, right? Because he, for I don't know, maybe four, maybe like three other questions, right? He spelled out the entire word,
Yeah.
and I think it got into Smet's head a little bit more each time.
Yeah. So ultimately,
It for sure got into Mark Ellis's head.
yeah.
He was so over that match.
Dude, so was Christian a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I love it when it goes to challenges and it 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 gets semantics get into it like that. You know what I mean? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm just weird like that. Most fans hate it. They just want straight competition, but I love it. I fucking love
Yeah.
it.
All
Anyways,
right. So round four.
I get it though. Legit, I get it. I also I get where you're coming from and you're right, but I also feel like I get where Smets and Kaiser was coming from because legit that's where I was. I legit was not even taking into consideration the fact that the dude had an accent. I just heard it wrong. But then eventually when they came back, they were like, "Oh, it's because of," and I was like, "Oh shit, that's right. Ooh, we're bad people. Cancel us." Anyways,
Yeah.
please don't.
No,
I
no,
apologize.
that's what I'm saying. Is and Kevin Smith, I think he realized it right away. He's like, no, 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 don't challenge. I don't want to
I
win
think
like this.
so
Don't
too.
challenge that.
I think
And
so
then
too.
Kaiser
Yeah, it
pushed
was
it.
good.
So,
Yeah, it was yeah,
hmm
I was yeah, and like you said, ultimately though, it worked in Chandra's favor. It lit the fire under him to be like, no,
hmm
I'm gonna make sure you know that I know this.
hmm
And I agree with you too. I think it ultimately did get into Smet's head a little bit. Those challenges, he just couldn't handle him. I don't think that's fair to say that he couldn't handle him. I think it's more fair to say it affected him. It affected his gameplay at the
his rhythm, if anything, it just affected
yeah
that rhythm of like, you're building momentum, and then it gets cut short, and then like, where do you pick up after that?
yeah that's fair. I
hmm
totally agree with that. So let's move on to round four,
The
the
speed round.
the speed round, the new virtual speed round, which usually in a live setting they would have buttons. Whoever is able to answer the question right, they would push their button and they'd have to say their answer in 2 seconds, or else it's a point against them. In the virtual world, we can't really do that, so they've come up with this neat little compromise. Well, it's a set of what is it, 10 questions,
10 questions.
and you have the ability to answer all of them within the span of 10 minutes. And the new rule is
10 minutes.
I'm 10 minutes. I'm sorry, a minute, 60 seconds. My bad. And the new rule is you have 60 seconds to answer the 10 questions. You can pass on a question, and once they go through the 10 questions, they'll come back and ask you those questions that you passed. If you
Yeah,
answer them right, yeah, go
if you
for it.
think
Go for it.
about it, in at the end of Family Feud, right, the winning team gets to send one or two people to answer the speed round. They go through categories. You need to give your best answer to hopefully get the the top response. And it's
Mhm.
kind of similar. You have to go through those questions and answer them in in that fashion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, 60 seconds, 10 questions you can pass. Once you get through all 10, they'll come back and ask you again the ones you passed. The ones you get right, you get those points. The ones you get wrong, I think
You miss
they did
takeaway points.
take away points. So,
And the
we
ones you
had,
pass is SATs that you get zero. Right?
yeah,
Nothing. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just
it's
no.
just zero. It's null.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Thank you. So, Smets goes up first, and he he passes two. I don't. It was the Back to the Future he passed, and then he passed the
Powerful.
parademons. The what are our Steppenwolf's minions called? And then and eventually he answers parademons when he comes back around, but he opts out to not answer the Back to the Future. The Back to the Future question was what Back to the Future song was nominated for a Grammy or
The power of love.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah. So
Huey Lewis. Power of love.
that's the power
Yeah.
of love. Oh, copyright strike. Um, then Chandra goes up and he also skips a few. I think the one he skips is
How many
Maria,
appearances does
the
Kobe
Maria,
Smulders play Maria
yeah,
Hill in the MCU?
the Maria Hill one, and then he skipped another one. Which one was the other one that they came back around? Was it Alfred? The Alfred question?
No. Well,
Oh, no, he
no, no,
answered
no.
all of them, right?
He answered all of them except for that last one.
Yeah, that's
And he
right.
just went, and as an asshole, he waited that time. He could have said pass, but he waited for the last 15 seconds to go
just to
by.
make sure if he had it or didn't. You can tell he was doing the math in his head. And he
Mm.
okay. And even though there's no repeats and no challenges, at the end of it, he still kind of has a gripe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because he was saying ultimately they both got 9 points moving forward, right? So Kevin Smith is still behind 4 points. Um, he he says because the answer for the Maria Hill one was specifically 6 appearances, but Chandru was saying you can't really count Far From Home because technically speaking, it's a squirrel. It's not really her. But I saw something in the chat and I agree. They
Pollyanna said
asked
it.
the question, yeah, how many times did Colby Smolder play as Maria Hill? And technically speaking, even though it is a squirrel pairing Maria Hill in the movie, it's credited as Maria
Maria
Hill.
Hill.
So it does kind of count. I understand what China's coming from. I think that's semantics, right? But technically speaking, it was correct. Which I think hindsight being 2020 and then be able to go back to be like, okay, that's fine. But once again, I think more than actually having a valid challenge, it's just more like it's just that poking the bear, like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, are you annoyed? You know what I mean? Because you could just tell like Smells is just like let's just get to the next round. And it's just you can kind of feel the tension, which is actually really cool. So,
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on the speed round?
No, I mean it was what it was. Pretty straightforward. Other than the fact that yeah, Chandru had a little thing to see at the end. Um, Pretty straightforward match. Like no real like big controversy out of this round.
Yeah, thankfully, because we
Yeah.
already had like three of those, right? So the final round, I always forget what
Round
to
number
call it, but
five.
it's basically a number from 1 to 20. I think 1 to 21. They choose each competitor chooses three numbers, and based on the order of the numbers, the first question is 2 points. Third question is Second question is 3 points. Third question is 5 points. Obviously, Chandru gets to pick his numbers first, and he does it all related to Batman and Batman movies, which is like
Mm-hmm.
chef's kiss, really great. And then Smets picks his numbers. Smets
Six
has
one
to
nine
go
baby.
first.
Booyaka.
Booyaka, booyaka. There we go. That's like our best friends. All right. That's great, dude. Jinx, you almost said it now.
Oh
All right.
man.
So obviously Smets has to go first because then he's in a 4 point deficit. Now, this is where I'm going to need you to help me because legit, there's a little power outage during this round.
Oh.
So I saw the first question from Smets, didn't really get the second or third. And eventually I came back to Chandru answering his last question. So I'm going to need you to explain this for the audience because now you're explaining it to me too.
Oh man, I don't think I took notes for this one.
Uh, at the
Yeah.
top,
So
as best you can, man.
yeah. So he had his three categories. At this point, it's the score is
2630?
no plus because it was plus 9, so 30. Yeah, 26-30.
Yeah.
So Smith has to get his first two
At the
just to
very
be
least.
able to pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does he get those first two? He gets the first question. I think he misses the second, and he gets the third.
He does,
So
yeah.
he does pass. He takes the lead basically off of those three questions, and then Chandru gets to a chance to answer his questions, and he only needs like 4 points really. And so the first two, like question number one's worth 2 points, second question worth 3 points, and that's all he really needs to in order to secure the victory. But Smets does avoid a TKO, which it's huge in terms of like the standings and points for your faction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
I think
ultimately,
Smets gets the first one right. He misses a 3 pointer, and he
mm-hmm.
gets the 5 pointer correct.
And then Chandru just gets his two,
Mm-hmm.
gets his
And
three, and
he
that's
he
it.
wins off of that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I knew he won, but it's just, yeah. Thankfully, I mean, he gets no points, right? But he avoids the TKO. So, I always forget how much championship matches are worth. I think they're still worth
Four,
three,
four, and three.
4 and 3.
So it's worth 3 points and then four for the TKO.
Yeah, that's right. Moving next
Hmm.
season, championship matches are going to be worth more. I think they're saying it's going to be worth five, a championship match, which is fair because there's 5 rounds, it's more game.
Hmm.
I honestly think championship matches should have been worth more to begin with, but we're getting that next season. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, avoids a TKO, but because of the earlier win with Final Exam, which is swag, and now Chandru winning IG, which is also swag. Swag is able to move up from what was it, third place
Hmm.
to first place with now a total of 30 points in faction wins, just barely edging out by 1 point. Finstock Exchange was had 29 points, and now Corruption's in third place with 27 points, which man, if you would have told me beginning of the season Corruption and Swag were going to be fighting Finstock for that number one spot, because they were like Corruption was last for a while, and
And
Swag
then
was
the
really
IG
close.
tournament happened.
And then the IG tournament happened, and then now these teams happen, and it's just man. And then now Christian announced it officially. We're getting a teams tournament coming up soon, and the singles tournament coming up soon. So there's still room for factions to gain points. But for right now, man, just like wow, it's and then I don't know if you saw that post interview, man. How like legit kayfabe aside, both Chandru and like Winston. This is how you know these guys legitimately take this seriously because they both started crying, which makes me feel
Yeah.
because they and Winston said it so beautifully. Like you guys have no idea, like personality and so like Chandru's always there for all of us, for the whole team. Whenever we need a study session or someone needs help, Chandru is freaking there. He is the heart of the team. He was like, Chandru, you freaking did it. Like you did it. And it's like it's a test. It's like again, character aside, this is where I say I thought Chandru the person is a great, sweet heart of an individual. Like to see that work pay off, to see like a manager pick somebody purely based on heart and be like, I'm trusting you and I'm building the faction on your back if you don't mind. And for them to be like not only say, okay, I'll carry it, but to really like show the rest of the faction, like, yeah, let's do this. Like, man, it was a fucking rallying. It was like Independence Day speech. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's moving. It was beautiful, and both men crying, and it's just like, and then seeing Smets too, the post interview, like he was cheering up too, not because he was sad he lost, but it was like, yeah, I love this game. I love this championship. It means the world to me. There's like actual sentimental value behind winning. It's not just a fun trivia game for these cats, right? Like there's actual emotional things that they attach to it, not just being like, I want to be proved that I'm the smartest. It was like, I won this for this person, or I won this because of this to prove to myself this, or I did this during our, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's certain things you do that just means something to you because of what you're going through in life in general during that time, be it good or bad or what have you. It's just certain things just means something because hard work pays off ultimately, and it clearly shows that Chandru and all his swag and Winston have been working their asses off, and it fucking paid off, man. They're number one right now. So kudos to swag. That's 2 times Winston has made me cry. Thanks a lot, dude. Like you made me cry with Ace, and now you made me cry with Chandru. So thank you for that. I mean, that's why I love the game, man. Like you tell people it's this internet show where it's like movie trivia. It's like, oh, that sounds, but it's like, nah, you don't. You people legit don't get it. Like it's great. It's really good. So, final words, final thoughts for this match.
Oh man,
Yeah,
like I was saying, like there's a whole mythos behind Smets going into this match for me, and to say that I'm not disappointed in the outcome would be a lie, because I am a little bit disappointed that Smets didn't win. And I was really pulling for him, but at the same time, it's like kind of seeing Smets go through the match and kind of getting to know who like Smets the person is as opposed to Smets the myth. Um, I'm a bigger fan of Smets the person.
mm-hmm.
You know, I think he showed a lot of character, and he owned up to his mistakes. He played like very fairly, very he like you can tell he plays this game with a passion.
For sure.
Yeah,
Mm.
and yeah, Smets the myth aside, like I'm a huge fan of Smets the person.
Oh, I fucking love this Smasher,
Mm-hmm.
legit, and he'll be back. Like, like he's lost very little, and the times he's lost, whenever he's come back so much just way more improved and more efficient in his answers and everything. It's just yeah, I think he'll be back, and I think we obviously haven't heard the last of him. I think he'll be back bigger and stronger than ever. It is interesting though. I do want to point out how you called him the kingpin, and ultimately the kingpin loses at the end. So I think you kind
Mm.
of jinxed him, bro.
Oh, my bad.
Because I was rooting for the Smasher too, man. But I mean, to take nothing away from Chandru was the underdog. No one had him. Everyone thought the Smasher was gonna wreck him, and man, he proved all of us wrong, and that's got to be a sweet fucking feeling to be like, I fucking showed you, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I take nothing from away from him, man. Like, you showed us that you are a legit top contender. You're the champ, dude. There's nothing more to be said. We were wrong. You're amazing. You're champ. Congratulations, sir. Next week we have another live event, the tag team title matches. And then following that we have singles match, singles championship. So literally, it's the month of championships. We have the IG title. Eventually, we're gonna get next week. We have the tag teams on the line, and then we're gonna get the singles competition on the line, and then we get Jericho
Oh.
versus Smith,
Hmm.
Kevin Smith to be exact, which is very exciting. So yeah, man. I really thank you for letting me talk about Schmoedown with you. Thank you for joining me on this crazy, crazy journey. It's so much fun talking to you. Listener, I know you're like, oh my God, we're going to get another Schmoedown. Yes, but also we'll try to keep it lighter. We'll try to add other things into it. We're trying to work into just making this more of a segment, not the actual principal principal topic of the show. But obviously, like I'm a mark. It's like wrestling, but cooler because the competition actually matters. So yeah, um, yeah, man. Where do we?
That being
Anything else you
said,
got?
I think we might have to do a wrestling episode just because
Oh yeah.
I think that was one of the first things that kind of bonded us was wrestling. So we might have
Oh
to visit that
oh
at
my
some point.
God. And guys, do we got stories from high school, bro?
Oh
You know,
yeah.
and I'm specifically talking
We had
about
some.
this guy. This guy
Oh.
did some. This guy did some stuff, man. But we'll save it. We're just
Yes.
it's a little. It's like Salt Bay, just a little seasoning for you.
Yeah. Little, on top of that little egg episode we might do in the future too.
Oh no, we're definitely doing
Mm.
eggs, bro. It's just you know, I know we've been saying that a lot, listener, but it's just COVID and then schedules and stuff, and then sometimes things take priority, and the whole Schmoedown
Mm.
thing happened. Like, but we'll get to eggs, we promise.
All right, David. Where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me everywhere on Twitter and Instagram at David B Music 21. You can find me on Twitch and my own YouTube channel, David B Music, and also you can find me here every week with my beautiful, handsome co-host,
Mm.
Mr. Kuno Stars, and also Brian. Where can the people find you?
On Twitter, Instagram at Kuno_stars.
Brilliant.
And
And as always,
also
oh
find
yeah,
me
go for
here on at SpeakFreelyPod
it.
on
Ooh,
Instagram and Twitter.
nice. You did it. All right, good. I should
Yes.
shut my mouth next time.
All right.
And
Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell so you know when we put up new episodes. Uh, Trying to do it by every Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, more or less. We're kind of still trying to figure this out. So thank you for coming along the ride with us.
yeah, for sure. I specifically want to shout out our friends. Um, I specifically want to shout out Helga, who's always commenting on the videos. I love you to death.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. And obviously, all of our other friends who listen and comment, not just on our YouTube videos, but also on the Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys so much. And also, too, real quick, we're finally on podcast feeds. We're currently on Spotify and other podcast feeds. If you go to our Twitter and our Instagram, there's our link to our RSS feed that'll show you where our podcast is on all podcast forums. Currently, I'm looking into trying to get it on iTunes podcast, but for sure we're on Spotify. If you can't find us there, just go to our socials, click on that anchor link, and we are right there. Currently, we have 2 episodes up, but eventually I'll catch up and put all the episodes up, and you can look forward to the episodes dropping on the same day, both on YouTube and on podcast feeds. Hopefully, that's the goal. But we're figuring all this stuff out. So thank you so much for sticking around and you know being along for the ride. Um, so next week What are we talking about next week? More Schmoedown for sure, but we gotta talk about something else.
I mean, possibly video games, possibly more
Wrestling. We did hype up
baseball,
wrestling
wrestling. I don't know.
for sure.
Possibly
More baseball.
eggs. I don't know.
I didn't even talk about this week on baseball too. With what did I want to mention with
The
the Oakland
athletics coach
Athletics? Yeah, I didn't
and the
even mention
Nazi
it.
sign.
Yeah, I don't
Mm.
want. I don't want to leave the show off on that though. So we'll talk about it next week's episode. So now you gotta tune in if you don't know what the heck we're talking about. And if you Googled it and you figured it out, whatever, we're still gonna talk about it. So until next time, um, same bat time, same bat channel.
Are you just trying to rip off Kevin Smith right now, or?
Uh, do you know what he ripped off though?
Oh man,
Come
I
on,
do and I don't. It's on the tip of my tongue.
the Batman Adam West, right?
Oh, Batman 60. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Not the movie, the Adam West show.
yeah. The
They always ended it.
Batman.
Tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Wow.
I have to revisit this.
We will confirm on next week's episode. And
Yeah.
with that, we bid you adieu. And
Oh.
all right, almost, almost.
Almost.
All right, let's stop this recording. Blip. Hopefully today records well for you.